My dear community, welcome to my channel. My name is Wei-Jen, and I help people to attract the lifestyle and love they desire to have by expanding their awareness, self-love, and the energy vibration. Today's topic that I want to talk about is related to my last video. So for some of you, you have probably already watched my last video. It was about forgiveness, and particularly it was about forgiveness to my parents for my childhood wound and trauma. And that video got me to that I want to extend this video, one more video about surrounding forgiveness with the different elements. So today's topic that I want to talk about is unlocking compassion through forgiveness. Some of you may not know, my background story, and I'm gonna briefly introduce myself here again. I'm a recovered codependent, and I grew up in an environment with my parents where my father is a functional alcoholic and a narcissist, and my mother is untreated, severe codependent. And that just led me to become, I did things, said things, think things and felt things just exactly like my mother. I was also a very severe untreated codependent before, probably through my whole 20s. Until a couple years ago, I had my humble moment where I made a conscious decision that I was going to start with my personal transformation and spiritual awakening journeys. But until then, I think I used to undervalue so much, how compassion and forgiveness are so crucial in order to achieve, happiness, love, and joy in my life. But I only knew, doing the same thing over and over and expecting that I will get those outcomes, right? And so when I hit the humble moment, years ago, maybe like around 2019, I started to, start this, personal transformation and spiritual awakening journey through different formats. Some of them, I started to see therapists. Some other ways that I started to do a lot of readings and through communities. And also lately, I just got back from my retreat program. It's called Half Moon Process, where I spend the whole week in the mountain without any electronic devices with other bunch of fellows, and for the whole week in the mountain. And all we were doing, our intention is just purely healing our childhood trauma and wounds, and rewrite the story that we used to carry with ourselves, about our parents, our relationship with our parents. Now, with this topic, about unlocking compassion through forgiveness, I want to start it with a story that I have been experiencing lately. And hopefully in the end of this story, you understand better why I picked this subject and how important that is, to have compassion and forgiveness towards ourselves and towards to another person in order to elevate our energy vibration, in order to pursue our happiness, joy, and love. So lately, I've been having a little bit struggle, communication struggle and conflict with my boss, who is also a peer to my colleague as well. And both of us, also with other fellows, we got involved ourselves on this project. And this project should have a plan, a deadline about when to do what, right? So, when we have a plan, we all are on the same page. We know when to do what, right? And the project's supposed to be done, 2 months ago, but it hasn't. And it has been prolonged for various reasons. So I decided that about 3 weeks ago, I was going to send a follow-up email to my boss, and includes all the people who got involved into this project, just to check in to see if there is any updates or any news about the project. And so once I sent out the first follow-up email, after a week passed by, I didn't receive any response. Instead, I noticed that everyone was so quiet. And I decided, okay, I'm gonna use that opportunity to exercise my patience, because I know that one of my shortcomings is that sometimes I could lack of patience. And so I decided to take that moment to practice, how to be patient. So I let it sit for another week. Now, when I felt it was, the right time, the right moment to send out the second follow-up email, I did that. I did that after a week. I sent the first follow-up email. No response. Then I decided I was going to send the second follow-up email just to check in, if there is any updates or if my boss even received my first follow-up email. And a week passed by. Again, still there was no response. And so it's hard for me during that week after sending out the second follow-up email. I started to feel there's a part of me, I started to feel resentful and resistant and angry. And yet at the same time, there's also another part of me subconsciously that I created this, million stories about, what could go wrong, there must be something going on and that I don't know. Because the truth is, yes, I don't know. And that I don't know got me to create so many stories inside my monkey mind. And most of the story that I created, they weren't positive, right? Because the silence that I received from the crew, from my boss. And so when I gave another week to let it sit, and when it got to the third week, I decided, okay, enough is enough. I needed to start to speak up for what's going on, but I also knew I could speak up in a very kind way. So I did. And so the third email I sent out is about something that, I needed to take care of myself. And I don't see, by expressing that, my needs and my desire, my standard, and my boundary. Because I gave 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks to let it sit and to be patient and to wait to see if there's any response, right? And I don't get anything. So I just thought, it's time for me to express, what are my boundaries? What are my standards? My boundary and the standard is that I need to be able to work with someone who has communication skill. Because communication is very essential when there's a team, we all collaborate, together for a project. So I expressed on my third email that I no longer to see myself being available to work with my boss and to work with some other few colleagues who also were supposed to do their job, but they were also keep themselves quiet. So that is something that I expressed in a kind way in an email, that I no longer have any desire or being available to work with you unless you guys, follow up and have some radical honesty, radical transparency dialogue here, right? Otherwise, I will stop putting myself into a position where I don't see people or the incidents or the matter serve me, right? That's not my purpose or my mission, to get myself involved into this project and collaborate with others. And then that's also not the treatment that I want to be treated. So I expressed my boundary and my standard there. And then from there, guess what? I started to receive lots of response from our team. And the one particularly that's really standing out is that I was told that my boss, who hasn't responded my email for a couple of weeks, actually had a car accident and he has been in ICU for a few days. And then that's why I don't hear from him. And guess what? When I heard that piece of news, there's a part of me, all of a sudden, I released so much anger, resentment, and unsatisfied towards to this person. At the same time, I started to feel more forgiving and more compassion to this person. Isn't that interesting? I found this is quite interesting. But my question right now today that I would like to ask myself and also ask you guys, and then even challenge myself, is that if I didn't know this piece of crucial news that he got a car accident and he's currently in ICU, if I didn't know this piece of news, is there any other way that I can shorten the period where I felt angry and resentful and unfair, unjustified that moment? Can I shorten that period and then eventually gradually move on to the next stage where I am able to forgive this person and then have some compassion for this person? So that is something that I like to think about, and I like to challenge myself for the future, in the future, if I can shorten that moment. Because I know when I carry that resentment, Martin Ridge, and self-pity and anger, right? It's really hard for me to stay focused on the things that I'm supposed to do, including my morning ritual, including when I was meditate, or working out. It feels so distracted. And I also feel there's a part of, my body and the energy has been locked because there is this negative, energy there. And I think what really got my attention before I was able to release these energy is that I know, I know, and I can feel and I can see, there is this unresolved issue is being hanging there. And I wanted to fix it. I wanted to, get it done as soon as possible. But I wasn't able to because I just couldn't hear my boss. So it's really hard for me to continue to move forward with this, unresolved matter. Now, my point of this story is that I can experience and feel how important that is, and the differences between having a negative energy that is blocking within me, and also having the energy and ability to forgive another person, and gradually, naturally, that would generate more compassion to another person. How different that is between these two. And that has brought up so many different impacts. It's really up to me which one I want to choose. It's very interesting. Now, the other interesting thing is that I also, from this experience, I also get to learn and practice having some compassion and forgiveness towards to me first. Because when I have ability, when I can practice, forgive myself, and have some compassion with myself, then I have the ability to forgive and then have compassion for another person. It's very crucial to be gentle, be kind, and be forgiving towards to ourselves first. It's like a muscle thing, you go to the gym, you exercise forgiveness, you exercise, sending and then spreading some compassion to ourselves and to another person. And it's very important to be aware and to know that I'm not going to do this, every single time perfectly. There will be a moment, there will be a time where I felt I just have a really hard time to forgive myself, that kind of thing. Like, especially, growing up in an alcoholic familyhood, I used to be this like perfectionist. I wanted to be everything so perfect, including people who I cannot control. So now with where I am today in my spiritual awakening journey, I pay extra attention and awareness, telling myself that it is okay to be not perfect. And actually, there is no perfection, such thing exists on this planet. The only thing that I can be better is through practice and be patient and be kind and be gentle to myself. And I don't strive being perfect today anymore. I strive to be excellent and to be kind, be gentle with myself in this process. And then also I get to keep reminding myself, this is not, a short-term marathon. This is not once I practice once or twice, then I have a full capacity to forgive other people and to be kind and to be compassionate to other people every single time. No. So I really will highly recommend that, you can start to practice, from a small thing, from a trivial thing, and, started to forgive yourself first. When you see that you wanted to do a certain thing so perfectly, but you just couldn't do that so perfectly. I want you to be able to start to forgive yourself and have some compassion to yourself. That can be a starting point to practice. Now, the other thing that I also want to recommend, how you can practice being forgiving and being compassionate, is also practicing mindfulness and practicing imagine yourself, that you are in another person's their shoes. How would you feel if you were that person? What kind of choice would you make? What kind of feeling would you feel about it in some certain scenario or difficult challenge? And when you see the mistakes that they have already made, right? But you put yourself into their shoes, you naturally would have a little bit, room. You would start to create this safe room to be able to forgive them. And the forgiveness is not something that once you make your conscious decision and then you will have forgiveness naturally. No, it takes time and it takes passion and the effort to be aware of that energy and that feeling. And it's okay to, still have some anger and resentment in this particular area, whatever you're working on it, right? It is perfectly fine. But just hold that container for yourself and tell yourself it's okay that, today I don't feel forgiveness or compassion to this person. I think that's very crucial, very important to be gentle, be kind, and be patient with ourselves in this process. Now, also keep in mind that during this, when you're doing this, forgiving other self and then having compassion for another person and for yourself, it's very crucial to know and to keep in mind that you're doing this, you're going through this process mainly for you, for your future, for your present life, because I'm pretty sure that if we can have choice, we definitely don't want to choose the same or similar vicious or negative, unhealthy cycle that is going over and over and over again and expecting a healthier, a happier result. I'm pretty sure that, if you have a choice, right, you want to be able to make different choices. You want to be able to experiment a new choice that you never made before. So it's very crucial to know that the choices that you make is mainly for you, for your present life, and for your future. And it's the same thing in my previous video. I mentioned that I decided to forgive my parents mainly for me, because I don't want to end it up being any of them. And like I said in my previous video, I also gained some more compassion towards to my parents. And it's the same thing with my boss. I gained some more compassion and forgiveness towards my boss, because I can imagine he's probably suffering the physical the physical pain. At least he cannot do the things that he normally can do at this moment, right? So all I can do is to not only be able to forgive him internally, energetically, but also be able to hold the space for him and hold the space for me, for myself as well. So I hope that you found this video, this sharing is very insightful and helpful for you. If you like my content and today's video, feel free to leave the like button or to leave a comment or even to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I always uploaded these inspiration and wisdom video on my channel, because I want to be able to help others. And then when I can help others or inspire others in any shapes, ways, or forms, I also get to heal myself and to inspire myself to help myself as well. And that is an environment and it's a community that I want to create. And I even share this video with other people. You never know, maybe there are other people that are out there seeking for wisdom and inspiration, or even resource, or help to help themselves up. So I want to thank you so much for spending your time watching my video. And if you want to dive into a deeper personal transformation, also feel free to book a 30 minutes, discovery call with me. It's a free discovery call. There's no charge. And you can find out whether or not working with me is a right fit for you. I'm always here to help others. And so you know where to find me. Just click the link below this video and then we can stay connected. Thank you so much for spending your time watching my video, and I just feel so grateful to have you in my community. And yes, stay tuned. We'll see each other next time, and I just feel really appreciate having you in my community. I wish you have a fabulous day, and namaste.